Guys, welcome back to the Share Parenting Podcast, where every mom deserves to feel sure of her parenting. I'm your host, Sammy Bell, creator of Share Parenting and author of Share Parenting Building Blocks to Create Their Best Childhood. Here on the podcast, we address the issues that make moms question themselves or their kids, and we discuss creative solutions that meet the needs of each unique mother and child. Let's dive in.
This year, what has come up a lot in my clients' lives is grief. So I wanted to do a little video on that topic for everybody who might be experiencing that. Some of it might be a refresher and you're like, I already heard that. Some of it might be new, and that's okay too. So first and foremost, I want to say that I'm sorry for your loss, whatever that might be. And I want to honor and validate that your process through that is unique, and there's not a right or wrong way per se to do that. It looks how it looks because you're a unique person. Your relationship with whoever passed is a unique person, is a unique relationship with another unique person. And I'm not here to tell you, like, you're doing it wrong. That's not my goal. My goal is to help create some framing around the process of grief so that you actually feel like you're doing it right. So for some people, the grief is brand new. For some people, the grief is years and years and years old. Holidays can be extremely complicated. And there's a whole society out there that says that holidays are cheerful and festival and joyful and merry and all that stuff. And for some of us, that could be true, and there's also sadness and anger and hurt and resentment and other things. So why? Lots of reasons. Sometimes the holidays represent relationships that we wish were different. They might represent boundaries that we have to have in order to feel safe that we wish we didn't have to have. They might represent things that weren't said. Things that never got repaired before somebody passed. Sometimes we're grieving somebody who died. Sometimes we're grieving somebody who is still alive but not safe to have a relationship with. And all of that grief is valid and tends to be enhanced during the holiday season. So you want to make sure that you are taking care of you. You are honoring your process through all of the complicated feelings. You want to remember that you can hold two things as true at the same time. Yes, my parents loved me. No, they did not meet all of my needs. Or they did not love me in a way that I needed to be loved. Or maybe for you, you hold that most parents love their kids. My parents were sadistic. I've had that client, and I understand that the platitudes that we often hear around parents and parenting can feel very invalidating to that person that's like, no, actually, my parents were clinically unwell. And while that might be the exception, that doesn't make it less valid for that person's experience. It might be that your parents were lovely and wonderful and actually did meet all of those needs, and you can't live up to the hype. I've had that a couple times for my clients, where their guilt is not that they're repeating old cycles, it's that they're making their own dang new cycles. What is this? Often, it's neurodiversity. It's not feeling safe accepting that your needs are different than your mom's were. Sure, your mom could do all of the things. She had the executive function to go to all the events and make all the cookies and sign up for all the PTA, PTO, PT, whatever things. And she also did all the decorating and all the festive things and had the train going and everything. And you're going, I lost my crap over one Christmas event. Why can't I live up to her? You're different people with different needs. Your kids don't need you to be your mom. They need you to be your best you. So if that means doing less, do less. Pick that one thing that you actually feel joy doing and soak up that connection with your kids. If that means wearing earplugs to every single event, do that. Loop and Flare audio are both really, really helpful. So Flare audio is not an earplug per se, but it changes the inner shape of your ear temporarily. It's a little silicone piece that you put in so that the sound that you do hear just fine hits your eardrum at a different angle, so it's not like a piercing, overwhelming sound. It's more of a soothing sound. If you're going to a concert and you've got auditory sensory issues, please wear something to protect yourself. Okay? Doesn't make you a bad parent that you can't listen to at the same volume or the same frequency as in how often your children's fun thing as much as some other parent. You're not required to be some other parent. You're required to be you. And honoring your needs validates that your children have unique needs and they can honor their needs. Be that parent. Don't try to live up to some perfect ideal. Those don't actually exist. So I've had that a couple times too. But for a lot of us, for the majority of us, we are trying to do better than our parents did. And our parents loved us and they didn't know how to meet all of our needs. And that was because their needs were not all met. So they didn't even necessarily know that some of those needs existed. And that is a grief in and of itself. And if they have passed, there is a whole other level of grief that we didn't ever get a chance to get that from them. That opportunity, that like lingering hope that maybe one day it's gone now. And that requires us to move through the stages of grief to reach a level of acceptance. And it is hard and it is messy. And it's important to know that it feels so big in the beginning. And it's not that it doesn't go away, that's for sure. You get periods of time where it does not feel that intense. And the further you move from it, the more periods of time you get where you don't feel that intense pain. The pain button is still there. The description that I hear that best illustrates this is imagining a box with a pain button right about here, okay? And then there's a ball in the box. In the beginning, the ball is almost the size of the box, so it's pretty much just sitting on the pain button. It just hurts. As time goes on, that ball gets smaller, and it's bouncing all around the box. And it can still hit the pain button, and it hurts just as bad as the day you lost that person, or the day you had to cut that person out of your life, or the day that you realized that this is never going to be what I wish it was. But as that ball gets smaller, that ball of grief gets smaller, and you've moved through the stages of grief and you've reached that acceptance, it happens less frequently that you get bowled over by that pain. The stages of grief can operate like a ladder. You can go up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down, right? You might get a new surge of anger and need to process it. If you're feeling a lot of those feelings in your body, try to move them, right? You can walk, you can tap, you can do yoga, you can go for a run, you can do some qigong, you can do some shadow boxing, you can go to the gym. Try to move those feelings through your body. Scribbling is a really simple, easily accessible way to do that. If you can figure out, like, I have this feeling in me and it's making me really grumpy, I can't even think clearly, start scribbling on a piece of paper, and you keep scribbling and you keep scribbling, and whatever comes up, just let it come out, let it come out, let it come out. Sometimes it will be words, and you might write like a sentence or a couple phrases and then scribble through those. Get it out of your system. Keep going, page after page after page, until you start to feel like, okay, feel that release. You might be more verbal processing, where you write a letter and burn it. That's totally fair. You can write to somebody who has passed, who has died. You can write to them and you can flip it over and have them write back to you. It's weird, but it kind of works. It's very interesting. The things that come up that you're like, am I just making that up? Like, let yourself make it up then. You're unconscious. When you write, you activate 10,000 more neurons than when you're just thinking. So you are able to tap into parts of your brain that you can't consciously reach. Let it come out. Let it come out, whatever needs to be said. And see what comes up for you. Be open to the opportunity, open to the experience. Maybe it's a very, very straightforward grief. I'm just sad. That was my person, and I miss them. Do things that honor them. Feel their presence in the activities that you did together. Look at pictures. Let yourself cry. Allow your body and your experience now to honor the beauty of the impact they had on your life. You're allowed to feel all of the things. You can be mad that they were taken from you so soon. You can be sad that they don't get to see this thing that's happening right now this year. You can be grateful that you had the time that you had with them. One is not better than the other. Sometimes we are afraid of feeling deep, big, heavy, hard feelings. And so we're like, well, just find gratitude. Gratitude's great. I love gratitude. One of the steps in my book. But it's not the only feeling that we're supposed to feel. We feel all of them. That's part of being human. And the complexity of all of those feelings, that feeling soup, it just represents the complexity of being human, of human relationships. It's not simple and straightforward with anyone. Nobody's relationship with any other person is 100% good all of the time. If it is, you haven't been in a relationship long enough. Like, there's going to be complexity to that. There's going to be miscommunications or disappointments or, mismatches in attunement. That's okay. That's part of being human. We can still feel the disappointment or the hurt or the anger, and that doesn't have to take away from the joy and the love. And even in really complicated relationships where there's full on rage that hasn't been felt yet, you might have to feel that. You might have to process that. You might have to stamp your feet and go, you know what? I deserved better. How actually dare you? I deserved better. And you might have to process that and then hold at the same time that that's true. You're still my family and I still love you. Or maybe, you know what? I don't actually know that I do have love for you. That doesn't make you a bad person either. That's your experience in your relationship with this person. Nobody gets to tell you how to do that. So for those that want positive memories and want to kind of sit in that space, you can make ornaments, like memorial type ornaments. Like I said, you can write and burn. You can go out in nature. You could plant maybe a tree or bulbs are a really fun way you plant, typically in the fall, I think. I've actually not done this, but I want to. Because you plant the bulb and it just looks all bleh and dead. And then it pops up in the spring. And so it's like a faith exercise where you're like, I'm putting this in the ground. We'll see what happens. I'm going to believe that something good's going to come from this. It's just going to take a while. And it's a really good analogy for life. We do a lot of things that maybe don't seem to have an immediate positive effect. And they might take work. And it might be an opportunity to go, what am I doing? But then we have faith that the benefit of that activity is going to come later. And sometimes in that exercise, that mental exercise, you're able to see the ripple effects that certain people had on your life generations later. Sometimes there's an opportunity to share something with a loved one who's already passed. That could look like just talking. Just being like, oh, you would love this. Look at this new painting I found. It made me think of you. And you're talking to air. But here's the thing, energy is neither created nor destroyed. So that the energy of whomever it was that you cared about, it still exists. Where? I don't know. But it exists. You are also energy. So by definition, you can tap into that whenever you'd like. And some people have different experiences where they feel like they can get a message back. Some people don't. Sometimes it's about being heard, though. Saying what needs to be said, giving yourself an opportunity to express, feeling like you've done your part to let this other person know, hey, I still think about you. I still care. Thank you for what you've done. Thank you for the impact you've left on my life. Thank you for the lessons learned. Thank you for the laughs, whatever that looks like. And, if your type of grief is more along the lines of somebody who's alive that you can't be around, that might feel different. It might be like, look, I'm glad that I've learned what not to do. I'm glad that I have grown enough to be able to set healthy boundaries. I hope that you continue your healing journey and that one day it doesn't have to be like this. I'm not counting on it. My experiences so far seem to indicate that that's not going to happen. I can accept that and still hope that maybe through some sort of miracle, you're able to do that kind of healing at some point in your life. And if not, I'm going to make sure that I have the boundaries in place so that I don't keep getting hurt by it. You know? So, grief is complicated. Loss is complicated. Some people cry. Some people laugh. Some people make dark jokes. Some people process very much alone. Some people need people around them to lift them up. There's not a right and wrong. We're just different. Find the things that you need to do to feel connected, to feel grounded, to feel secure in yourself, that you're doing what you need to meet your needs. Don't numb. Don't hide. Let it flow through you, whatever that looks like. Give yourself a pat on the back. You're getting through. You're getting through. And that's all that we can ask. So, I have so much love for you. I believe you. I believe in you. And I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.